There was an excellent video made about a year ago by a YouTuber called DayZ. He's actually one of my favorite YouTubers. The video was called First Verse, Third Person in Armor and DayZ. I think that video already covers this subject better than I could, but what I'm going to give you here is my own personal perspective and also a specific example where everyone, including myself, was abusing the hell out of third person, and it really had a massive effect on how the game played out. First, I'm going to address the fact that I do personally play a lot of regular servers, even though I hate using third person, and I say it all the time. The single reason I do this is because the vast majority of people who play DayZ play on regular servers. Often the choice for me comes down to looking at a hardcore server which has 12 people on it versus like 100 full servers with my friends playing on it. So if I chose to play on hardcore only, there wouldn't be any videos with teamwork. I'd always be lone wolfing it, and half the time I'd be playing on a server with a ping of 400 or 500 just to make sure there's a high enough population for interesting things to happen in the game. Because I live in Australia, we're sort of at the opposite end of the world to everyone, so we're quite far away, and that means pings are high. We do have a handful of hardcore servers within the area near Australia, but they're only full at a couple of certain times of the day. So if I wasn't in this situation, I wouldn't be making this video. I wouldn't give a shit about expressing my opinion on the subject, and I wouldn't be trying to convince more people to come over and give first person only a try. One of the more common and dumbest responses to playing in first person only is that regular servers allow you to play in first person and third person and switch between them whenever you like. So you have the freedom to play only in first person if you wish on one of those servers. That is bullshit, because the actual issue is that third person gives you massive advantages in being able to look over terrain, to look over objects around walls, and if you don't use it, you're putting yourself at a huge disadvantage. So by playing on a regular server which enables third person, that means you are forced to use it unless you want to be basically playing a different game to everyone else on the server. So what are these advantages that it gives you? Well, like I said before, it allows you to look over walls without presenting yourself. Anyone who is close to an object can now hide themselves behind it and use almost like a little drone flying above their heads to look at everyone else. Of course, the other player has an invisible camera floating above their head as well, so you'd think it would be fair, but it's not. It's not symmetrical, because that person hiding behind the object can remain invisible while watching the other person, but our fresh spawn with a pitchfork over to the right cannot do the same thing. They cannot see the person hiding behind cover, and it actually encourages certain kinds of gameplay. One of the best ways to kill people in DayZ is by ambushing them, by surprising them, and third person makes this far, far easier. And that's the reason why I don't like the actual name hardcore for first person only servers, because it makes people think that it's going to be harder for new players, but it's not at all. Because it's on regular servers that it's much easier to be a bandit, because it's easier to surprise people, to watch people, to sit in one spot, to sit on a roof and watch everyone run around you, so you can choose your target and jump up and catch them by surprise. On a hardcore server, you'd actually see their little head on the roof skylining themselves, and it's much easier to spot them, it's more realistic, and actually fairer. Let's talk about some of the most common objections people have to playing in first person only. Before the standalone came out, the most common one that I saw by far was that many people felt that in first person the field of view wasn't wide enough, that you could see much more in third person, and if there was a way to adjust the field of view, then they would consider playing in first person only a lot more. Well, when the standalone came out and it did have a field of view slider, that objection suddenly vanished and people just kept playing on regular servers. By the way, I'm pretty damn sure that the field of view is not different between first and third person. It doesn't actually change the field of view technically. It's just that you have a camera which is further away from your character and can be raised higher so that you can see more around you. So obviously they were wrong about that, and it wasn't the field of view that was affecting things for them. That leads on to another objection, another very common one, which is that people say they like to use third person while they're traveling long distances. That being able to see your character in the environment makes it less boring or something. I've really tried hard to understand that, and that doesn't make any sense to me. Really, does staring at the back of your own fucking head for half an hour make any difference to the travel? In my opinion, that's not the real reason people prefer it. It's actually because the camera can be placed pretty high above your character so that you can see further. And once you get used to that and you switch to first person, it feels kind of claustrophobic. You're much closer to the ground. Grass and bushes can obscure your vision as you're running through them. You can't see around trees and over objects as you're running around. I think that's the real reason that people prefer third person when they're traveling. The next objection is that players say they want to be able to see their character, what they're wearing, how they look. Well, you can now press tab and look at your character and see what they're wearing. To make the inventory screen even better for people who want to check out their character, I suggest to the developers that you make the character appear as if they do in third person in the game. So if they're holding a gun, put the gun in their hands, make it look exactly like it does to other players. Even if they're crouching or prone, put them in that stance, in that position. Next objection is situational awareness in terms of where your character is in the environment. Is the toe sticking out from behind that wall? Are you really hidden? Are you really behind cover? Is your model sticking out? The argument is that it's far easier to tell with the third person camera behind you than from first person. My opinion is that that's a complete load of shit. It's very fucking easy to be able to tell where your character is from first person. I have not had any trouble with that, and I don't get the problem there. I've never heard anyone else complaining about it in serious competitive first person shooters like Counter-Strike. That whole fucking game's in first person, and I've never heard anyone say that there should be a third person option so that you have better situational awareness. Okay, another one that I've seen a couple of times is that first person would basically turn the game into Call of Duty on a large map, that it would increase the PvP. This one makes me want to jump off a bridge. I would argue that, in fact, first person makes it harder to kill other players because it's so much harder to ambush them. It's harder to stalk them, it's easier to lose them. The very best reason I've seen people use not to play on hardcore servers is that it gives them nausea. I think that this is the best excuse, and it's really the only legitimate one. It's pretty unfortunate for those people, and I wouldn't want to exclude them from the game, and that's the main reason I wouldn't actually vote to have third person removed from the game altogether. I used to think that way, but I changed my mind. I know that for some people, even the original Doom gave them motion sickness. So I'm not completely heartless. Right, so let's look at this situation where the third person camera had a massive influence on the situation. I was with a group at the Northwest Airfield with TLA. We had just moved into the fire station, and one of us left the building and they were shot at by someone who had just spawned into the air traffic control tower.
The forest.
Alright, Cannon's leaving fire station and moving back. Okay, taking shots, boys.
Where?
I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure it's 100%.
Yep, ATC, bottom floor. Covering
Cool.
fire, guys.
Oh, top
the
of the
doors, covering
ATC.
fire.
We started to surround them and I took out one.
To suppress the glass house in the front door. Vigilante, you got the glass house?
Yeah, I'm
He's up.
I just hit him twice. I think I headshot him.
Him?
We could have taken our time and tried to do it a bit more carefully, but I felt like being a hero. Thought it might make a good video if I ran in and killed them all. So I push up, start climbing up the ladder. I was diligently trying to use the third person camera myself to spot them. I went around the side and looked down the stairs with it. When I went inside the glass house and started looking down the stairs, I spotted them using third person. I made a big mistake there, not taking the scope off my gun, or at least I should have used the dot sight shot from the hip or shot from third person, so that I wouldn't be so zoomed in and have trouble hitting him in the head. Still, the shots were very close and I could have killed him, but I fucked up a bit. So I went outside and took the scope off, and I was ready, waiting for him to come up the stairs.
Boys?
Yep.
One up top.
Alright, it's pressed in the middle.
I'm dead.
One's up.
You see, when I shot at him the first time and he retreated, he shouldn't have been able to tell where I was. He should have been pinned down and should have been really hesitant to stick his head up again because it would get taken off. But when I started moving to the left to get behind cover, he was watching me the whole time, and that's how he was able to just pop up and immediately get a shot on me. Both of us actually died in this exchange, and I'm not sure when I killed him or when he killed me. But the thing is, in reality, he should have been pinned down so I had the initiative and I was making him react. Instead, because he had cover, I couldn't see what he was doing and he could watch me, he had the initiative. So it makes gunfights really weird. There is a chance that he wasn't using third person and he just got lucky there, which I really doubt, it's still exactly the kind of outcome you should expect when people are using their camera like that. Close quarters combat in this game at the moment comes down to being better at using your third-person camera and crossing your fingers that the lag works in your favour. People make a big deal out of glitchy zombies, the lack of vehicles, the lack of other content and bugs. But for me, these are some of my core issues with the game as it is right now. So there's my take on it. I know this is going to cause probably a shitstorm in the comments. The topic has been debated ad nauseum on the internets. All of the tubes are clogged up with this bullshit. All I want is just to convince a small percentage of you to give first-person servers a try. I just hope to see a bit more activity on there so I can make more videos on hardcore servers. By the way, if you're wondering what happened after this, I killed the first two, and the third one was talked into coming out, putting his hands up, and they sent him off alive. We are still following through with our catch and release policy. Once again, thanks for watching.